Rich.
Yes.
What childhood video game gave you the creepy dreamies?
The creepy dreamies. Ooh.
Or you're not sure if it's scary or sexy, so you can.
No, that's a creamy dreamy.
The spirit of Jules is in the air.
And there's the opening to the video. Cue titles.
Well, it's got to be Nintendo, because that's pretty much all I played when I was a kid. And it's got to be Zelda, because that's, again, pretty much all I played when I was a kid. So, Majora's Mask. I mean, there you go, enough said. So, Majora's Mask, if you didn't know, it's got that kind of stressful element to it where you have 3 in-game days to complete the game, make everyone happy before the moon will crash into the Earth. And it is as terrifying as it sounds. There's a bit right at the start, before you've even gotten introduced to the terrifying moon, by the way, where Skull Kid, who is the antagonist, he turns you from beautiful human Link into a little wooden Deku scrub, and that's terrifying enough. It's got nightmares everywhere, like coming at you, little tree people. So that freaked me out. It's all dark and the music's really stressful, and then you get to Clocktown and you have to wait until the moon is almost hitting the Earth until you can actually confront Skull Kid and be like, what are you doing, pal? And the music gets so intense and you've got the clock at the bottom proper counting down the seconds, and your fairy's freaking out like, oh my god, we have no time, we're out of time, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know, Tal, for goodness sake! And it's so stressful and it just scared me so much. And not to even mention the flippin' moon. I hope we've had a shot of the moon by now, because I'm gonna just gonna do it for the room right now. This is the moon. It's awful, but the big pointy nose and it's just horrible, and it comes and it crushes you. Special shout out, of course, to the Romani Ranch, where you have to save the cows from the aliens, because that's terrifying too. That stressed me out a lot. And the boss fight is my first boss fight, Adolwa, shaking like a leaf in my little 9-year-old body, just shaking after beating this boss. Like, it's terrifying. But I love it.
Well, when you're a kid, I find that when you're a kid, when you play games, you get lost in the world more. Like, you're way more susceptible to just believing you're that character, or I don't know, whatever. You sort of believe it more. Maybe it's just something with getting older that you get more cynical, or you see the craft of the crafting side of it, and you see it as more of a product. I don't know, but the thing I'm getting to is that the most stupid things sort of scarred me as a child, such as in the first Metal Gear Solid, when you go up the tower, the bit when you fight Sniper Wolf, and it's all like weird and desolate, and like, you know, Meryl gets shot, and I'm like, oh my god, like your wounds leaking out over the floor, and I've got to go up the thing, and it's not even just that bit, the mood that they have, I don't know why, but that whole atmosphere really freaked me the hell out. And then when you finally get to the top of the tower, and it's just all the wind, all you hear is the wind, and then the Hind D comes up, and you've got to fight him. Even that, it's a helicopter, just that scared me, don't know why. And then the whole thing in Final Fantasy VII, when you go to Nibelheim, and you find out all about the history with Sephiroth, and that he's created, and he burns the place to the ground, all the stuff with Genova, and like Sephiroth finding out that he's a clone of this weird alien meteor thing with like 7 eyes. And so like all the stuff with that, the music is like just so haunting, and it's all creepy and like weird synth MIDI piano music, you know, like, Nobuo Uematsu, I think he was the composer back then, doing the best he could to freak everybody out. Just the sound cues and the whole industrial weird feel of that town, discovering the whole secrets underneath the town, all that stuff, all the Shinra Mansion stuff, all that. Especially when, you know, you come back outside and Sephiroth's burnt it all down. That thing used to scare the crap out of me. And also, while I'm here, because I'm going back through the first Max Payne, because Max Payne trilogy the whole way, all the Flesh of Fallen Angels stuff from the first Max, the Flesh of Fallen Angels stuff. There's so much Flesh of Fallen Angels stuff, and the characters just keep saying it, and it's on the little TV, and then you've got the pink flamingo who speaks backwards because it's a Twin Peaks reference, and all that used to freak me out as well. I mean, I was a teenager, so not really a kid, you know, all that. But blood trails in Max Payne, Pink Flamingo, and Flesh of Fallen Angels is just, it's a trip, isn't it?
I didn't play many spooky, scary Skeletons games as a kid. I played mainly Sonic and Roller Coaster Tycoon games. As we all know this, I don't talk about this at all. I want to talk about the best spin off game, in my opinion, which is Sonic Spinball for the Mega Drive.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah. Basically, after they did Sonic 1 and 2, they went, hey, we've played with pinball-style things in the games, let's make a Sonic pinball game, which is really, really good. But it wasn't made by Sonic Team, it was made by a different bunch of people at Sega, who were called, I'm pretty certain it was the Sega Technical Institute, or STI for short.
That sounds really creepy.
Awkward. Gave me a creamy dreamy. The creamy dream chorus, everyone. But they didn't have access to the same set of assets that the original Sonic team did, so they had to change up all the sound design. And it's not the game itself, it's the sound design that got to me as a kid when I played this. Because the sound of like the rings, the sound of Sonic jumping, the sound of the spin dashing, it's all completely different. But the thing that got me that was so unexpected was when you get to any boss fight in the game. There's only 4 levels in the game, so there's only 4 boss fights, but all of these bosses use the same sounds. And there's one sound where you're hitting like a minor part of the boss, and it makes like a weird like comical bouncing sound, and it sounds kind of like this. However, when you hit a boss directly, rather than getting the standard like noise you get with a Sonic game, it made this noise instead. Safe to say, that was kind of horrifying, hearing a boss like genuinely like blood-curdling pain. As much as you're meant to be taking it down, it sounded horrific.
My ears are bleeding!
It was so unexpected in a Sonic game that I'd played so much, and it still to this day makes my skin crawl every time I come up against that scorpion bastard at the end of the first level. Because it makes that noise when you hit it, and every boss makes that same noise. So when it gets to the boss fight, it's horrible. And it's a Sonic game.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast out the fucking door, mate.
I had lots of games that kind of creeped me out when I was little. You know, we loved The Simpsons Hit and Run. I was always like high-key terrified of Kang and Kodos, so when they appeared in that game, I was pretty scared. But I'm not here to talk about The Simpsons Hit and Run today. I'm here to talk about a game called Batman Vengeance, which, if you recall, I did a video on that on the channel a while back. You can go watch it. It's really good, I think. That game was based on Batman, the animated series, or more specifically, the new Batman Adventures, which is what the show became in the late 90s. Batman Vengeance, actually, I think, is even scarier, because the opening of the game literally just opens with this like ticking clock, and you're like, okay, that's a little bit weird. And the camera zooms out, and it shows that it's a bomb, and it zooms out a little bit more, and there's this hostage, and like she's got like tape over her mouth, and she's there wriggling, trying to get free, and you're like, oh crap, I've got to do something about that, I'm Batman. And then it cuts to him, and he's like on the top of this sign in Gotham City, there's the red skies everywhere, it's really, really atmospheric. And then you just hear the Joker's laugh echoing in the distance, and then Batman stands up, and he goes, and the whole opening is really perfectly placed. Like you go in, kind of have the opening titles going through, and you rescue this person, but you also have all these different things. And I don't know whether it was the animation being translated to the video game that made it so creepy, but there was something about something of the uncanny valley to the whole experience. Everything in the game, it terrified me twice as much than it did in the TV show. And I don't know whether that's because I was playing Batman and I thought I was an incompetent gamer at that age. You know, you're 6. What you're meant to do, you know, Batman's like, he's amazing in the TV show, but when you're 6 and playing as Batman, you're like, oh, I'm not really ready for this responsibility. So lo and behold, when you're fighting all these big scary thugs and creepy Joker men, it was actually really terrifying, and I've never been more terrified than in that opening sequence when you rescue the woman, who it turns out to be Harley Quinn. Twist. Basically, you pick her up, and then you slide down this barreling infernal that comes out behind you. You're just there surfing, and it's meant to be really, really cool. Like they're probably at Ubisoft right now going, oh, the kids are gonna love this. Surfing down a ramp as Batman with a whammon in his hand, as fire hurtles behind him. Oh, what an empowering experience. No, it was terrifying. I had nightmares about that game for ages, and then before each level, they'd have a creepy title card as well, like the original TV show, but there was just so much more.
I have another one that isn't technically like a horror game or anything, and I spoke about it on a podcast a little while ago, plug, which was the 300 video game, where like you're running around, you're killing people, you're Leonidas, you're slashing people up, you're having a nice time being Greek? Roman? I don't know.
Greek.
Thank you. So you play as this Greek warrior, smashing things up, doing your thing, running around in your pants, with your abs out, having a good time, with a little cape on. I enjoyed it, had a nice time, right up until you get to this one bit with the Tree of the Dead, and it's literally, you walk on and it does this really like slow rise up to what you're supposed to be looking at. And it's just this horrible, you've all seen the film, it's just this horrible tree with all the bodies like stapled to it. And like the film didn't scare me as much as the game did. For some reason, it greatly unsettled me seeing all of this like square, horribly rendered like body stapled to a tree. It just upset me for ages. That was one that stuck with me, and just it always comes up when I think of scary things. But like other examples I have is literally last year, so it's not even my childhood, was I was playing Minecraft and the Endermen came in and like popped up. I was just caving. I didn't know they were in this game. I didn't know they were there, so I was just having a little cave. I was digging around. The slime was there. There was some creepers and stuff. I was like, I'm a little bit scared, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm having a nice time. Dig into a hole. It's just this blackened corridor, and I think, ooh, maybe there's some treasure. Let's have a little look down here. See some ores in the wall. Start hacking away. Break through to this chamber, and there's just this black, long, skinny figure with his head looking at the floor, and I was like, what the heck is this? I thought my game was broken. I thought like it wasn't supposed to be there. I was on the phone at the time, so I was playing with someone online. I just screeched. I was like, oh no, I found a monster. And looked at it with my thing. You're not supposed to look at them, otherwise they chase you. And oh my God, I was literally done. I was done. I was completely done with this Enderman. He f***ed me up. He fucking f***ed me up. I've always had this like massive ingrained fear of Slender Man for no rational reason. I just think he's really creepy. So I couldn't play Slender Man the 8 Pages either. That's probably the most realistic out of all of these. Slender Man the 8 Pages fucked me up as well, but whew, yeah, the Enderman is like a visceral memory. I'm still a child. I'm like 23, it's fine. I'm young.
Well, because I was a big scaredy cat, there were a lot of games like Resident Evil 1, that terrified me, and Resident Evil 2, just all the Resident Evils in general. But the thing about those games is, ones I was scared off, I wouldn't go back to them. So my choice is a bit of a weird one. It's Tomb Raider 2. And not for potentially the reasons you're thinking. It wasn't being in the caves or being in the tombs themselves. It was that goddamn butler just being around Croft Manor and having that creepy ass dude follow you around with his little tray spooked me out to no end. Because like, let's flashback, I'm like 4 years old, very, very young. And I've got this guy following me around.
Stranger danger.
Stranger danger, for one. My parents are always saying don't talk to strangers, especially old butlers who carry around trays behind you, which they often did in Countdown. Anyway, yeah, so that was horrible. And obviously when you're a kid, you have no idea why he's doing it, who he even is, to be honest. I didn't know what a butler was. So I didn't really know what was going on. He had this scrunched up little face, and he I'd try to get a close up of it because I wanted to confront my fears, but it was horrible. Like, no wonder everyone locked him in the goddamn freezer. You just wanted away from him. You didn't want him on your tail, the creepy little man. But then as you get older, it becomes creepy for an entirely different reason, because then you think, why is Lara Croft got this decrepit old man who she orders to follow him around all the time? He obviously is not, he's of retirement age. He's very slow. He can barely do his job properly. And yet, she's still got him there. Why? Lara Croft is the real villain here, I'm thinking. She has all the money in the world, and yet, he's on minimum wage, following her around all the time. Why? So Lara Croft is #cancelled.